Lesson 3 is multiplying fractions. Okay, make sure you label your notes. Make sure you write Chapter 4, Lesson 3, multiply fractions. All right, so we're going to scan the lesson and we're going to list 2 real-world scenarios in which you would multiply fractions. So the one that they have for us in the text is finding what part of your allowance was used to purchase an item. Okay, how much of that part of the whole thing was used. And finding how many minutes were spent on one activity in a class period.
You have to have those.
All right. A chameleon's body is about 1/2 the length of its tongue. A certain chameleon, this one, has a tongue that is 2/3 foot long. Okay? So, we want to use an area model to show 1/2 of 2/3. Okay? Now here, of, you guys, of means multiply, right?
Yeah.
Of means multiply. Okay? So it says here, they're teaching us how to use the model. And we're going to use this model to figure out a rule. Okay? So it says, divide the rectangle into 2 rows, then divide it into 3 columns. Okay, so we divided the model into the rectangle into 2 rows, and then we divided it into 3 columns. Now we want to shade the rectangle. We want to shade the rectangle that is 1/3 unit wide by 2/3 unit long. All right. So here it says we want to shade the rectangle that is 1/2 a unit wide by 2/3 a unit long. So if this is 1/2 and 1/2, then we're just going to shade one of those, right?
Yes.
And then 2/3 is how many of these?
2.
2 of those. So when we shade it, we're going to shade that, right? So how many pieces do we have in this whole rectangle?
6.
In 6. We have 6. How many are shaded?
2.
2. So how much of this box is shaded?
2.
2, 6. Very good. 2, 6. Now, let's redraw this picture, okay? Let's redraw this picture. Let's say we have this picture again, and we have, looks like this. Now, I want to put both of these on the, I'm going to move these around, okay? So I'm going to shade here and here. Is that still 2, 6?
Yes.
That's still 2, 6. Now, I'm going to redivide this box, okay? Let's say we've got this and this and one more, okay? Now, the box is divided into how many? 3. See the red boxes?
Yes.
Okay. So they're divided into 3 boxes. So, if this whole thing is the same thing as a 2, 6, how much is it in this picture?
It's 1/3.
It's 1/3. Very good.
So you just simplify with the picture.
Yes. So we just simplified with the picture. Is everybody clear?
Yeah.
All right. So when we look at this model, okay, the section that was shaded represents 1/2 times 2/3. We want to know what fraction represents 1/2 times 2/3. Okay, and we said that's going to be, what did we say? 2 6. So this was equal to 2 6. Now look at how we got that in the equation. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. So all we did was multiply the numerator and we multiplied the denominator. And then, of course, in the end, we simplified by dividing.
Wait a minute.
We divided by 2 here, and we divided by 2 there, and we simplified and got 1/3. We want to know what is the relationship between the numerators and the denominators of factors and the numerators and the denominators of the products. Well, the numerator and the denominator of the product is the product of the numerators and denominators. And same thing with the denominators. Okay? So, in other words, we just multiply the numerators and we just multiply the denominators. That's all you have to write. All this pink stuff down here, you don't have to write that word for word. You can reword it. Okay? All right. So, multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Okay? And the answer to a multiplication problem is the product, right? And that's what this is saying. Got it?
Yes.
All right. All right, so the next thing, multiply fractions. Now, this is what I want you to make sure you write down in your spiral. When you multiply fractions, you need to multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. And with that real world link, we just figured out that rule. So, for example 1, we have 1/3 times 1/4, and we want to write that in simplest form. Now, once again, there are 2 different ways to do this. You can do this with the picture, or you can do this with writing the equation. Because we already did the picture form and we figured out our rule, I'm going to say it is okay for you to go straight to the equation. Okay? Unless they ask you to draw a picture, then you can go straight to the equation. Okay? So, here, method 2 is using an equation. 1/3 times 1/4. When we multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. So, numerators are the ones on top, so 1 times 1, and then we multiply the denominators, 3 times 4, that gives us 1/12. Is everybody clear?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so we have 1/2 times 3/5. Now, like I said, when we figured out our rule, when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. Yep. Right? So, we're multiplying 1 times 3 in the numerator, 1 times 3 in the numerator, and we're multiplying 2 times 5 in the denominator. Okay? When we do that, we end up with 3/10. Simple as that. Good? So for the next one, once again, we're just going to multiply straight across. So here we've got 1 times 3 over 3 times 4. And when we multiply straight across, we end up with 3/12. Is that simplified? No. What can I simplify?
Wait, what?
What can I do here to simplify? Jake?
You can simplify the 3/12 by dividing it by 3 and getting 1/4.
Very good. Now, we're not just dividing by 3. We're dividing the numerator by 3,
And the denominator.
and we're dividing the denominator by 3. I do not want you to write a big divide by 3, because that means something entirely different. Yeah, is everybody clear? All right.
Yeah.
So, you're going to write, divide the numerator and the denominator by 3, and then your final answer will be 1/4. You got it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So, for letter C, once again, we're multiplying straight across. So, 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 6 is 18. And now, can I simplify it?
Yeah.
By dividing by what?
2.
Very good. So we're going to divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. And that will give us, perfect, 5 ninths. All right, now, in the previous lesson, in the previous example, we multiplied and simplified at the end. In this section, in this example, we're going to simplify before we multiply, okay? And you can do that if the numerators and denominators have a common factor that you can simplify out, okay? So if the numerator and the denominators have a common factor you can simplify, then you'll do that before you multiply straight across. Okay? So for example, we have 2/3 times 5/6. 2/3 times 5/6. You'll see here that you can simplify or divide a multiple out of the 2 and the 6. Right? So we're going to simplify by dividing by 2 in both of those. Now when you simplify, you have to have 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. Okay? You can have 1 here, 1 here. You can have 1 here, 1 here. You can have 1 here, 1 here, or 1 here, 1 here. Is everybody clear with that? Okay? So, when your teacher in elementary school calls it cross-simplifying, that is incorrect. It is just simplifying. Is everybody clear? I do not want to hear you say cross-simplifying anymore. It is just simplifying. Okay? All right. So for example 2 and 3, we have 3/4 times 5/6. When we simplify, okay, you can see that you can simplify 3 from the 2 and the 6. So you will divide 3 divided by 3, that gives you 1. And 6 divided by 3, that gives you 2. And then you just multiply straight across. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 4 times 2 is 8. Yes?
Isn't doing the 3?
All right. So now we have 4/9 times 1 times 18. That's not a fraction. How do I make it a fraction? Mackenzie?
And 18 ones.
Very good. You're going to put this 18 over 1, just like we have it right there, right? So, now we can simplify before we multiply if we can, and then we can multiply straight across. So, here we have 4/9 times 18 over 1. Then you can see you can simplify out a 9 out of the 9 and the 18. Is everybody clear?
Yeah.
So, we have 4 times 2, which is 8, and 1 times 1 in the denominator, which is 1. 8 over 1 is the same thing as just 8. Very good, very good. All right, so let's do some together. So, for example D, the first thing we want to do, we have 3/4 times 4/9. The first thing we want to do is see if we can simplify anything out. Okay? So, what can I simplify? Out of what, right?
You can simplify the 3 the 9.
Okay, so we can divide by what?
3.
Very good. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. Can I do another one?
Yeah.
Yes. Here we are.
The 4 and the 4.
The 4 and the 4. Very good. So 4 divided by 4, 1. And same thing up there. So now, the new multiplication problem is 1 over 1 times 1/3. You see? And then we multiply straight across. So that just gives me 1/3. Any questions? All right, let's do another one. So in the first one, in the next one, we have 5/6 times 9/10. Thomas, what am I going to simplify?
We can simplify the 10 and 5.
Very good. We're dividing by,
We are dividing by 2. Oh, wait. 5.
yes. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. Very good. Good catch. And then, can I do 6 and 9? What can I divide out of 6 and 9? 3, right? So, 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now, the new multiplication problem I have is 1/2 times 3/2. So that's going to give me, multiplying straight across, 3/4. Okay? I am okay with you guys going straight from this to this. Okay? If you're writing your simplifying nice and neatly and you can see it, you don't have to do this second step. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So the last one, what am I going to do here?
You're going to put a 1 under the 10.
Very good. I'm going to put that over 1 so I can make it a fraction. And then, can I simplify?
Yes.
Yes. Very good. So, the 10 and the 5, right?
Yeah.
So, 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. So, when I multiply straight across, I get 3 times 2, which is 6. Over 1 times 1, which is 1. And 6 over 1 is just 6. Very good. All right, now this one is already done for you in your textbook, but I would like for you to write it down, write the work in your spiral, okay? So it says, Frank had 1/2 of the lawn left to mow. On Saturday, he mowed 2/3 of what was left. So, it says he had 1/2 of the lawn left to mow, right? So, the question was, on Saturday, he mowed 2/3 of what was left. So, he mowed 2/3 of what? Of 1/2. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
So, and what do we say of means?
Multiply.
Multiply. Very good. So, he mowed 2/3 of 1/2. Okay? And then we said that of means multiply, right? So we have 2/3 times 1/2. You with me?
Yep.
Now, can I simplify before I multiply?
Yep.
Yes, we can. The 2's, right? So, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then down here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. You see that?
Yes.
And now, we can multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is what? And 3 times 1 is 3. So he had 1/3 of the lawn left to mow. Are there any questions?